Assassin's Creed 3 begins in the present day with Desmond, his father William, Rebecca Crane and Shaun Hastings finding the Grand Temple in a cave in Turin, New York. Using Ezio's Apple of Eden to access the structure, Desmond activates a large portion of the equipment as well as a timer indicating when the second disaster is predicted to occur on December 1st, 2012. His mind then falls into a fugue state in which he relives some significant memories of his ancestor, Haytham Kenway. 1754. During a production at the London Theatre Royal, Haytham murders a man named Miko and steals a medallion which he and his associates believe allow access to a storehouse for those who came before. After Haytham returns with the medallion, he is dispatched to the British-American colonies to find the storehouse. Haytham arrives in Boston. There he is tasked with gathering together 5 men faithful to his cause: Charles Lee, William Johnson, Thomas Hickey, Benjamin Schurz and Jonathan Pitcairn. In the process, he kills a slave trader named Silas Thatcher and frees a large group of Native American tribespeople, believing it will make them amicable to his cause. One of these Native American tribespeople, Canetio, agrees to help Haytham find the storehouse on the condition that he kill General Edward Braddock, the man responsible for enslaving her people. After tracking his movements, Haytham slays Braddock. Haytham and Canetio then travel to the entrance of the Grand Temple, only to find the medallion Haytham possesses cannot open it. At that moment, the pair reveals their romantic feelings for each other, beginning a relationship that will continue for some time. Shortly after, Charles Lee is formally recruited into Haytham's organisation, the Templar Order. This event surprises Desmond as he's watching, and he ejects himself from the Animus, attempting to absorb this new information. He then engages in a brief fight with his father, saying he is being treated as a pawn, and William strikes him out of anger. Once the tension has eased, Shaun gives Desmond a choice: explore the Grand Temple or return to the Animus. The story then switches to the point of view of Raton Hekaton, Canetio's son by Haytham. After playing hide and seek with his childhood friends in the forest near his village, he encounters Charles Lee and his associates, who forcibly inform Raton Hekaton that they wish to speak with the village elders. Raton Hekaton is then knocked unconscious, and on his return to the village he discovers that it has been set ablaze. Though he is able to find his mother and attempts to free her from a collapsed structure, he is ultimately unable to save her, and she dies before his eyes. Some years later, a teenage Raton Hekaton is told by a village elder that the reason no one is allowed to leave the nearby village is that their purpose is to protect the Grand Temple. She then shows him a crystal-like sphere, which activates at his touch and allows him to communicate with Juno. Juno informs him that he and his village are guardians of the Grand Temple, and current probabilities indicate that unless he leaves, his village will be destroyed and his people slaughtered. After showing him the symbol of the assassins, she tells him to leave the valley, find Achilles Davenport, an assassin, and convince the elder embittered fighter to train him. After accomplishing this by protecting the Davenport Manor from bandits, Raton Hekaton adopts the name Connor on Achilles' suggestion, and the pair set off to collect supplies from Boston. There, Haytham attempts to frame his son for the events of the Boston Massacre, leaving Connor notorious in the city. He then meets Samuel Adams, who gives Connor advice on how to decrease his notoriety. On his return, Achilles presents Connor with the Aquila, a ship he can use to patrol the Eastern American seaboard. As Connor learns the art of being an assassin, he is brought into the cities of Boston and New York, as well as a large open area called the Frontier. After being made a full-fledged member of the Assassin Brotherhood by Achilles, Connor sets out to eliminate the colonial Templars. William Johnson is assassinated first after he attempts to purchase the land on which Connor's people reside. Next, Connor targets John Pitcairn, the leader of the British forces at Bunker and Breed's Hills. Connor then pursues Thomas Hickey, whom he discovers is plotting to assassinate George Washington. Connor finds Hickey, and after a brief scuffle, both are thrown into prison. However, Hickey isn't detained for long and is freed through Haytham and Lee's influence, while Connor is framed for the plot against Washington and is sentenced to death. Luckily, Achilles and his fellow assassins manage to free Connor at the execution. Connor then charges after Hickey and manages to assassinate him before the Templar can kill Washington. With Haytham, Lee, and Benjamin Church still at large, Connor fears they still plot to eliminate Washington. Connor meets with Washington, who informs him that Church has stolen goods vital to the Continental Army and has fled. Connor agrees to pursue him, and in the process meets his father, Haytham. Haytham reveals his own pursuit of Church, who has betrayed the Templars as well, and the two agree to set aside their differences and find Church together. Upon travelling to the Caribbean via the Aquila and pursuing Church's ship, Haytham and Connor locate Church and kill him, then return to the colonies to meet with Washington. Here, Haytham discovers a letter from Washington, ordering the removal of all indigenous tribes from the land, as a number of them support the British. One of the tribes to be removed is Connor's old tribe, despite their neutrality, and Connor severs his ties with Haytham and Washington as a result. He then takes off to protect his tribe's village from encroaching Patriot forces. On arriving, Connor finds his people to be safe, but also discovers that the clan mother has dispatched tribesmen to turn back the Continental troops sent to purge the village. Connor stopped his fellows from attacking the troops, but is forced to kill his closest childhood friend, who has been influenced by Charles Lee. Connor becomes torn in his mission to eliminate the Templars, believing he can turn his father to the assassin way of thinking. He then sets off to pursue Lee, who has been disgraced by Washington and taken refuge in Fort George. With the assistance of Lafayette, Connor has New York Harbor shelled to create a distraction and infiltrates the fort. However, he is ambushed by Haytham, who reveals that Lee has escaped with the medallion, and the pair engage in battle. Now accepting that his father will not be convinced, Connor kills Haytham. As Desmond plays these events out in the Animus, he is occasionally taken out in order to recover power cells crucial to exploring the Grand Temple, found in locations such as Manhattan and Brazil. During these trips, he encounters Daniel Cross, a Templar mole responsible for killing the modern-day Mentor and initiating a widespread purge of the Assassin Order. While exploring the temple, Desmond occasionally encounters Juno, who reveals the events that led up to the first cataclysm that scarred the Earth. During one of these lectures, Desmond reveals that Lucy's death by his hand was no accident, and that he chose to kill her after the Apple of Eden revealed she intended to take the apple to Abstergo Industries. When a third power cell is located in Cairo, Egypt, William offers to recover it, while Desmond continues to search Connor's memories for the key to the Grand Temple's inner barrier. However, William is captured by Abstergo and held in their Roman facility, the location where Desmond was kept when he was captured and forced to relive Altair's genetic memories. Through a video message, Warren VIDIC demands Desmond bring the Apple of Eden to him in exchange for William. In response, Desmond infiltrates the laboratories, where he encounters Daniel again. As Daniel corners Desmond, the Templar begins to shuffle from the bleeding effect as a result of being raised in an Animus and reliving the memories of his ancestors, Nikolai and Inokente Arelev, for extended periods of time. Daniel then flees from the room in a panic, with Desmond in pursuit. After a short chase, Desmond assassinates Daniel and confronts VIDIC in his office, where he uses the apple to kill the Templar and his guards. Desmond then rescues William and uses the apple to lead them safely from the facility. Once he returns to the Animus, Desmond observes as Connor pursues Lee once more. After eavesdropping on a ship's captain to ascertain Lee's location, Connor chases Lee through a vessel under construction that has been set ablaze. The two come to a stalemate after falling through a section of the ship, and Connor is impaled at the waist by a broken piece of wood. Lee asks Connor why he continues to persist even though the Templar Order follows a cycle of their power waxing and waning. Connor replies, "Because no one else will," and shoots Lee in the chest, preventing the Templar from finishing him off. A badly wounded Lee then escapes across a nearby lake via a ferry, with an injured Connor in pursuit. Finally, Connor finds Lee in a pub, and the pair share a last drink before Connor stabs Lee lethally through the chest. Connor takes the medallion from Lee's body, and several months later, he returns to the tribe's village only to find they have moved elsewhere. He then locates the crystal sphere, presumably left behind for him to find. In the vision that it shows him, Juno reappears and instructs him to hide the medallion where no one else will find it. Connor does so, burying the medallion in the grave of Connor Davenport, Achilles' deceased son and his namesake. Now with the knowledge of the medallion's location, Desmond retrieves it and uses it to access the confines of the temple. Here, he and the others find Juno's apparition, who instructs Desmond to activate a pedestal which will save the world from the ongoing solar flares. However, Minerva's apparition suddenly appears and reveals that by doing as Juno says, Desmond will die and free Juno from captivity, allowing her to begin her conquest of the world. She explains that Juno was sealed long ago during the war between the first civilization and humanity, when she plotted to use the machines designed to save the world against it. Minerva, prodded by Juno, then shows Desmond that if the sun were to unleash its power to the world, he and a small collective of humans would survive to repopulate the world. He would become a religious icon in this new world, but his words would be mistranslated and lead the world to continue a perpetual cycle of destruction. Believing the world would stand a better chance fighting against Juno, Desmond instructs the others to leave and prepare for the oncoming struggle. Desmond then activates the pedestal, taking his life and saving the world. From there, Juno appears and tells Desmond that his part has ended and that her time has come. In an epilogue, Connor takes down the Templar portraits in the Davenport Manor's basement and burns them, signifying the end of his journey. Thank you for watching that, everybody. If you liked this video and you want to know more Assassin's Creed lore and backstory and recaps and everything, then subscribe to Jam Punch, because I'm going to be releasing a brand new Assassin's Creed video every single week. My name is George, this is Jam Punch, and I will see you next time.